if you don't want to hear me speak, then you probably should go to the other places. Otherwise, go ahead and have a seat. We'll sit down. Cameron.
Cameron what?
Cameron, like Moore.
What's your last name? Cameron Moore?
Yeah, right here. See?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cameron Moore.
Woohoo! Yeah, all right. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be presenting on preventing credential theft, lateral movement after compromise. I got to tell you that Ian and I are the exact opposite, right? So Ian likes the offensive side. I'm more like the Cleveland Cavaliers. I like to start from behind, right? And so just think of me as the down by 3 games or down by 2 games. I'm going to come back and win the thing, But that's me. I'm different. I will say that something that Ian said strikes a chord with me. I love the fact that security is getting a lot of attention. A lot of career opportunities, excitement. There's articles you can find all over the internet that say there's a shortage of skilled IT workers or skilled security people, right? You see that stuff all the time. I haven't found one of those jobs yet, but I'm sure they're out there somewhere. If you want to move to Minneapolis, there's some stuff out there. But the thing that scares me about it is that what Ian was saying is that the security, the good guy side, has done such a bad job of one, bringing up the skill level of the new people, but then also information sharing. I mean, if you get your ass hacked, you're pwned and you're in bad shape, right? How many of you are going to go to your community, B-sides and be like, oh yeah, dude, they totally screwed us over, stole everything we had, it was embarrassing, right? How many of you do that? Nobody, right? And so the problem is that there's not this continual learning that goes on inside of the good guy side. On the bad guy side, they're sharing shit all the time, mostly because they're like, wow, this is pretty damn awesome. Look at what I did. But on our side, we're not doing that. And we got to change that, because here's what's going to happen if we don't. The CFOs are going to say, wait a second, we can get insurance that's going to pay for some of this shit, and I don't have to worry about investing as much money every single year in my security staff and my security, purchasing and all of that. And they're going to say, yeah, they're going to go to the CEO and they're going to say, yeah, I added a line item in every year's budget for $10 million. It's usually what we spend on these yahoos, but if we get hacked, they're going to cover it for us because it's insurance. If we get hacked, these guys are going to be like, well, we needed more money. You didn't give us carbon black. That's why we got hacked. And that's what really terrifies me about our industry, is that on the good guy side, we're losing the battle so bad in some cases, and there's not investment in our side that, I don't know, I hit a reset button, that the CEOs and the CFOs are going to take over and do their job and rescue the business. As he said, Target's still around. Home Depot's still around. What was the real impact? I get really concerned about us that. Anyway, so one of the things, and if you read the bio that they had on there, I really don't care if you have carbon black. I really don't care if you have, next-gen firewalls or really cool two-factor authentications. That stuff doesn't matter to me. Because if you go home and somebody owns your ass with all of that stuff, you still look bad, right? You still have to go answer to your boss what happened, right? And that stuff doesn't matter. To me, what matters, when I want to know, is if I drop something on your network, how fast can you tell that I am on your network? How quickly can you see what I'm doing? Can you even tell what the hell I am doing? And in most cases, I talk to a lot of people, the answer is absolutely no. You can put a box, and you are in pen testing, but you're kind of hiding back there. Oh yeah, by the way, if I do this at every single time I talk, especially when I talk to my own company, like for security awareness training. If I use you as an example or something that I say, you want to ask a question, but you're embarrassed because, let's face it, security community be kind of dicks. We look over and be like, oh my God, that guy's still running NT4. You can borrow my face of anonymity, right? So you can ask the question. Nobody will be able to tell who you are. You won't be able to see their looks of judgment, and we'll be able to learn from the experience as a whole. So just raise your hand. I'll run it out there to you, or somebody will run it out there to you. This title is really stupidly long. Mostly it was just so it would get attention, and maybe they would invite me to come speak here. It worked! I don't really know how to shorten it, though. That's the other problem. So what we're going to cover today, I'm going to tell you about me, what I do, how I work our security at the company that I work for now, and hopefully other companies. Security is growing so big. There's so many jobs. So hopefully I'll get a better job one day. I do like my job, by the way. That's not a slam against it. But I want to tell you about how I got my butt handed to me a couple of times. It really kind of made me stop back and go, what am I doing wrong? Something's not right. I'm going to talk a little bit about defense in depth, detection response, and red teaming. Red teaming is real popular these days. We'll talk a little bit about that. How that stuff all works together in controls and how their relationship to detection response. I'm going to do a demo of this. It's not so that I can teach you how to hack into stuff. Maybe you know about this already. Maybe you've seen it. But time and time again, what I hear from people is that, I don't really know how that stuff works. And if they knew how easy it was to do some of these things, if they just went on YouTube and Googled, how to do this, then they would be like, oh shit, my neighbor's 12-year-old son could get domain creds on my network in like a couple of minutes, maybe. That might make them actually do something, right? And by the way, if you're one of those security people that hears me say something, and then you go, oh, well, that will never work in my environment. Okay, great. It's not my problem. It's your problem. But you've got to listen to this stuff. And even if you have one case example of why you can't do it, maybe the rest of your network you can do it, and you can just isolate that one thing. Okay, when security people, when you hear things and you go, oh, but I still run an NT4 server, so I can't really implement this. Well, find out where you can implement it, and just know that that is the place that you need to be careful in. Secure configuration is a control. A couple of years ago, because of compliance and all this stuff, patch management became the deal, right? Pen testers no longer could just hop on a box, exploit a bunch of patches, and be on their way. People have gotten kind of wise to that, and people are investing in their patch management. But they're not doing it for configuration management, and that's where the pen testers, the hackers, everybody's going. And I say hackers, or attackers, whatever. Don't beat me up because of the terminology. A little bit about me. I think that's what the next slide is, but my clicker, something's wrong with it, so fuck. Oh, my slides. I was preparing for a TED Talk, and I got a consultant to teach me how to talk to people because I didn't want to look like a dumbass. And he says, hey, you're putting too much shit on your slides. People are reading your slides and not listening to you, so stop doing that. If you got to put a lot of shit on there, put it at the very end and then just give them the slides afterwards so they could look at it. So just know that I really try and make it so that you don't have to write a lot of stuff down or you don't have to take a lot of pictures. Mostly we're here to talk. And also, if you have questions, they're more important than these slides, all right? Us having a talk about actual security stuff, questions that you have or things, or maybe even think I'm a dumbass and you want to stand up and heckle me, do that. It's more important than these slides. I really take that to heart. If you're embarrassed, we have the anonymity, right? So, plus also, last night I had a couple of drinks, and to the point where I didn't really want to eat breakfast this morning. So, if you make me upset, I'll just go and get some more drinks and feel fine anyway. So, about me, I started out, I owned a business, right? Entrepreneurial. I take that after my dad. He's got a long string of failed businesses, and now he's working at Amazon as one of the stalkers on robots, right? But so I thought I could do better than that. I started a business. Dell completely shut us down in the mid-'90s. And I mean, they didn't actually come after me, right? Because I'm not that cool. But I couldn't. They were getting good enough to where I couldn't really do business. People were choosing Dell, and they should have because I wasn't good enough. So I got a job at a school district. If you want a good, lesson in how to secure a network, go work at a high school securing that network. I did one better. I got a job at an alternative high school securing their network. Every day it was like, what the hell is going on with this stuff? You remember back in Windows 2000 days, you could net send messages? Fuck. There were several times where I would have the superintendent saying, hey, I just got this message on my computer. What is it? And I'd be like, oh, damn it. I got to figure out how to turn this off. Anyway, because alternative schools, those were kids who had already met with the police, right? And they had already left the regular school, so they didn't give a damn about me or the computers or the superintendent. So keep that in mind. If you want a good time there, education. Went to banking and finance. It was right when Zeus came out. It was pretty awesome because people would call in and be like, your server's compromised because it asked me for my PIN number and I typed it in and now my, card's been compromised. Zeus was awesome. We were both, everybody in our, company was just like, wow, this is amazing. Healthcare. I worked for a big healthcare company in Austin for a little while. Lots of hospitals, lots of doctors, lots of challenges. And healthcare, fast-moving, EMR, all the Obamacare stuff, those guys are slammed, and the security typically takes a step back. If you work in healthcare and that's not the case, good job. But I worked in that healthcare environment, lots of connecting with other companies. It's the case, trust me. They have basically no security in some cases. Again, I'm not trying to teach you how to hack, so don't go and find a healthcare company to own. And now I work in the energy utility industry. There is a guy that I work with here. He's probably I don't work with him in Austin, but he's here in Cleveland. And he's probably, going to go back and talk about this. I am not David Kennedy. I don't even know if he's here. I hope he is, because one time I was sitting at a bar at happy hour with a friend of mine in security. We were talking about the healthcare.gov when he was testifying in Congress, and I was like, I want to be that man. I want to testify in Congress on a good, right? I mean, I want to testify against people, right? Not them asking me questions of why you fucked something up. But I'm not David Kennedy. I'm super not cool like him. I'm a normal IT security manager. That's actually my title. Not very impressive. And I worked at a small little company in Austin. Again, not super impressive. I'm a normal person like you, in the trenches every day. This last week, guess what? A senior manager came over and said, I fucking sent an email at 3 o'clock and the person hasn't gotten it. So I had to go over to my guy and say, hey man, you check out this email issue and see what the problem is. Totally lame, not security, but that's still part of my job. Maybe it is yours. And guess what? I have a CISP, right? I have a CISP, a CISSP. So I'm a genius. You probably don't have one of those yet. And if you do, you're not as good as me. Sorry. You gotta step up your game, bro. Now listen, those things are awesome, but I know a lot of CISs that I would never hire even to be on my help desk. They're terrible. They're terrible, really. And you have a lot of CISs that they're like business continuity people, right? And you start talking to them, you're like, oh man, have you seen the PowerSploit thing? That's so awesome. And they're like, what? Is your data center 100 miles away? And you're like, what the fuck? What? I was talking about Metasploit, right? Anyway. You don't have to have a CIS to be pretty badass. If you feel somewhat, less of a man or woman because you are not a CIS, get over that. I mean, go get one so you can get an awesome job, because that's what HR people look for. But just know that just because you have a CISP or don't have a CISP or don't have a GSEC or whatever the hell certification you're wanting doesn't mean that you are somehow less of a security person. You can be just as badass. I guarantee you there are not a lot of Russian hackers that have their CISPs, okay? They probably don't even know what the hell that is. They think it's probably an exploit or something. Okay. So just so you know, I'm pretty normal. I put a couple of pictures up here because that's what that presentation coach told me to do. One day I found a little tiny scorpion on my desk. That's my finger right there. That's how tiny it was. I do triathlons. I'm not going to tell you which one of those guys I am because I want you to think I'm winning. When I took over my current job, this was the backside of one of our cabinets. You notice the like Tarzan cables hanging out the back? That's the kind of shit that I was dealing with when I got there. I used to race, and I have 3 daughters. That picture's old. They're older than that now, but this is the cutest one that I think. Nobody likes an older kid. They like little kids, right? I will say that in a heartbeat, I would quit my job today because of them, if I needed to, okay? So I want you to know I am a normal person. I don't sit in my basement trying to hack into places, trying to make money with ransomware, although I've thought about it a lot of times. I really am doing security because I have a family that I want to take care of. Any questions about any of that stuff? We're going to get started. No? All right. Do you think that I'm normal?
No.
I'm not normal. I really am not. Trust me, I have some really... If you go and look at my YouTube homepage, it serves up content about car crashes and plane crashes. Because when I'm really bored at work, a lot of times I will just watch car crash videos from the UK or Russia. It's so damn awesome. And, when you get those car crashes, because everybody has dash cam videos over there, so you get some really badass car crashes. Anyway, that's me. I'm not normal, but I feel normal most of the time. Yes, sir.
Could you define normal, please?
Yeah, normal is not watching car crash videos for fun. Plane crash videos are even worse because...
That would be normal for this group.
Oh, okay, well then I don't know what normal is. Welcome. I think we should be friends maybe. Tonight we should hang out at the bar or whatever. It's free all night or is it just free during the day? The beer.
All day till it floats.
Woohoo! All right, good deal. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about the first day of reckoning where I really thought, man, I must be doing something wrong. Patch management, not an issue. We got it. It's good. We got all the shit patched. You know what pisses me off about my executives? They look at my Verizon report. Okay, so Verizon, typically we do pen testing with Verizon. Maybe I shouldn't tell you that or something. I don't know. It's not because I think Verizon is the best at it. It's just what we as a company have chosen through our vendor management process, right? So we've used IBM and all sorts of other people too. There is like a 30, 40, I don't know, what did Ian say, 144-page document that they send to us about everything that they found, right? And we patch management pretty damn good, right? And that's a little pat on my back. You guys can say good job. So whenever they get me my report, it says stupid shit like, do you know that you have SMTP open on the internet? And I'm like, yeah, because we have a fucking email server that if it went down, the CEO is going to have my ass, right? So yeah, I'm aware of that. Ian, thank you very much. But there's, out of that whole 144 things, there's great things that I have them put into my report so that if somebody actually read it, they would say, oh wow, man, they're not doing too bad a job, right? At least they would put up a decent fight. But they look at one page, and it's our ranking by industry, right? And they're like, oh, I see this year you're in the 93rd percentile for vulnerability and risk. And I'm like, that's pretty damn good, I think, because I'm pretty sure we're going up against, like, huge, industry people, right? Multi-billion dollar. We're pretty good. And they're like, well, maybe next year you can get in the top 5%. Okay, I'll give it a shot. It means nothing, right? That's just like Ian said. It really means nothing. To them, that's some kind of metric that they want me to hit. But to me, I'm like, fuck, that means nothing, right? If I mess up one thing, if one of my engineers messes up one thing, we could have been owned regardless of the fact that we had patches, right? I mean, they deleted and just put an any on the firewall. It doesn't matter what the hell I got patched, right? People are going to RDP and all sorts of shit. Anyway, oh, you all right there? So cool thing happened. It's never happened before. The other day I was flying into Chicago, and the pilot said, people, anybody on the plane where they had the emergency landing? I was on that. You were on the plane yesterday? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, so yesterday I was on the plane. We got to do an emergency landing. A really cool thing. I didn't realize that you had to fly around the airport a dozen times before you land. But if you're in an emergency landing, they move everybody out of the way so you can get your ass on the ground, right? Some lady had medical emergency, and so not only did we get like straight up first approach to land, but we got escorted straight up to the gate. Everybody stopped. They had police and everything. It was really awesome. So if you ever have a chance to, if you're like running late, you're going to have a connecting flight, fake a medical emergency, right? Because they will land your ass on the ground quickly. It's really awesome. You could tell the difference. It's pretty cool. Okay, so my first day of reckoning really made me question what I was doing security-wise. I was at a conference. It was more of a workshop. And I'm sitting there just like everybody else does when you're at some boring-ass CPEs for your CISP. You're on your laptop, right, doing actual stuff, listening so you can get your credit hour. And I get an alert that comes up from our antivirus solution. And this was like 6 years ago. It was a long time ago. And I go, oh, detected a Trojan, deleted, good deal. And I'm sitting there doing stuff, and I realize, I'm like, wait a second. That guy's sitting right there. He's actually paying attention. How the hell did he get a virus just sitting there? So I'm kind of perplexed a little bit. And, A few minutes later, I get another one. And this is like 10, 15 minutes later, I get another one. But this time I recognize it. It's the Metasploit. AV detected it, and it deleted it. Case closed, right? No. I recognized that one. And I knew something was wrong. I look back over, guy's still paying attention. He's actually good. I'm not me. I'm just bored out of my mind. So I go over there and I tell him, hey man, can I borrow your laptop for a second? I want to just check it out. Sure enough, start looking at NetFlow data, everything. Guy from Canada has got access to that box. And luckily for me, he totally didn't know what he was doing because he was dropping shit like Metasploit on there and AV was picking it up, right? There was no custom code, no custom anything. He wasn't using some neat, cool tools. He was pretty much just trying to figure out what the hell he needed to do to compromise this box further. Do a little bit more IR on it. Turns out the guy went to an infected website out of Germany, because we know that United States websites are so much more secure than foreign websites. Shame on him. But that's it. And I sat back real long and hard and thought, damn, I had no indication that some dude was on my box. Again, we looked at NetFlow data. Guy had access to that box for about 4 hours and had taken about 800 megs of data off of it. We looked into it. They basically took the user's profile off the box, and I don't know what the hell he did with it. Luckily, there was no data on the user's profile except, the typical Windows profile data. He didn't have confidential stuff on his desktop. So we looked out there. But again, I sat back real long and hard and thought, I'm doing something wrong. Fast forward a couple of years. I've gotten a lot better at this point. I feel like I'm doing something right. In fact, my pen test reports are so great that I think, and also, 2007? When did SANS do their? Anybody a SANS guy? When did SANS do their red team thing over at DEF CON? Was it 2007? I think it was like 2007 or whatever. That was the first time I'd ever heard of red team. I was like, wow, that's pretty slick, man. I want to be a red team guy, but I wasn't good enough. So I stuck with my boring desk job, and I realized a couple of years later that, you know what, I think I'm ready for a red team, right? I'm ready, right? I got my stuff. Verizon says I'm good. I'm ready for a red team. So I go to my C-suite, and I'm like, hey, it's really expensive. I don't know why, but this is really expensive, but it's really going to be cool because, we're going to come out looking like a fucking diamond in the rough, right? And they're like, yeah, we should do this. This is pretty awesome. I kind of like it. Except they totally kicked our ass. Right? And we never saw them, right? For 2 weeks, I let them do whatever the hell I want because I had gotten our C-suite to really buy into it. They can do whatever they wanted, except pull a gun on somebody or kidnap them, right? So they did whatever the hell they wanted, and they totally kicked our ass. And when we finally got the report, we realized they were on our network within 4 hours. And we're pivoting around. And they had 2 weeks, right? We didn't detect them till the last day when they were so damn bored that they're like, let's just fuck around with them and see when they finally notice we're here. And then we really got freaked out. It turned out, no, the game was over hours into the engagement. We sucked. I was really shocked. I sat back. I drove around Austin 10 times. Took 6 miles to do that. And really thought hard about my career choice and life in general. The thing that really shocked me, though, is that they didn't hack. They didn't get into my shit by exploiting O-days, right? They didn't, have some custom Python Ruby shit that was, groundbreaking technology. No. They did it without doing anything technical. They used my systems against me. I had no opportunity at all, really, even to notice it, because the way my network was architected didn't facilitate discovery. And that's really what I discovered through all of this. Now, we do, hold on a second. I like this Homer Simpson thing, so we're going to leave it up there. Now, I do red teams at least 5 times a year. I typically use the same company for all 5 of them. Or maybe I'll do 4 and then bring in somebody new for the next year. But my instruction to them is, hey, every engagement should build on the previous one. So don't start again and do an Nmap scan of my network and let me find you in 5 seconds, okay? Everything you learned from the previous engagement, take that and build it into the next one so that you get harder for me to detect. So that my staff has to work harder to figure out what the hell you're doing, right? Don't just come in there and let me, get a great report to my boss that says, "Oh yeah, we nailed him within an hour, man. We got him. We're so badass." No. And so, just a little preview. I don't tell my staff at all when this is coming. The only people that know is me, our general counsel, because she's in charge of communication. If stuff, if it like the public starts saying, "Hey, weird shit's happened on your website," our communications person, and then my boss knows obviously but my staff has no clue. They're about to get one. It's awesome. They're getting a laptop, like a straight up provisioned company laptop with a user that has access to confidential information and a certificate, a 509 certificate, so that they can two-factor their shit around. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see how my team does. But I do that often because what I've learned is, well, here, I'll tell you in a second. Defense in depth, okay? How many of y'all have heard of defense in depth? How many of y'all deploy defense in depth? Yeah, okay, there should be a lot of hands up. If you don't, yeah, right, okay. Defense in depth is important. So if you go on the internet and Google defense in depth, there's all these pretty circle things and the layers, and everything looks like it's protecting the confidential information, right? There's no holes in the defense in depth on the internet, right? At least on the pictures, right? But it turns out your defense in depth actually looks like this. You know those stupid ass mazes that you get at a restaurant that your kid does while they're waiting on your food so they don't drive you crazy, right? So you only have to have one drink before the food comes. Yeah, that's really how your defense in depth actually looks like to an attacker, or even to your systems administrators. There are ways around those layers. Otherwise, even your systems administrators would have a difficult time doing their job, right? The attackers see it like that too. And in red teaming, that's what they're looking for, are the ways, I don't know what fell, but something fell, the way around your layers to get to what their target is, or whatever the hell they want to do. And so when you're looking at defense in depth, you're looking at your perimeter security, layer that with some applications control and all this other patch management stuff, and layers up, and you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm doing my shit right? Like I did, right? Then you invite in a red team and they kick your ass and you're like, what the fuck happened? I did all of this stuff right. According to the CISP, knowledge body, common knowledge body. There's something missing though, if this is the only thing you're doing. Any guesses what it is? Defense in depth is not the goal. Quick, effective detection and response is your goal as security, as defenders. That's your goal. If you just stop with defense in depth, if you just get Carbon Black and you're like, and no offense to Carbon Black, by the way, I'm only picking on them because I just had a conversation with a friend of mine who was bragging that they had just, purchased it, and so it's still stuck in my mind because I wanted to slap because they have zero detection response. Anyway, defense in depth is a means to that goal. Your defense in depth strategy should be built around the fact that I need to detect people and hold them hostage long enough that I can kick their ass out. That's all that defense in depth is for. It's not for 100% guarantee we stopped the hackers this time. It's never going to work. It won't. If you can't get out of that mindset, you will be owned. You might probably already are owned. Who knows? Go look at Pastebin. Maybe you'll find your stuff. Then you can at least go tell your CEO, CFO, hey, I was on Pastebin. I found all of our databases. Just a heads up, it's probably going to break in the media in a couple of days. So I just wanted to tell you first. So anyway. And the cool thing is Amazon, companies like that, they got people who go out there and look for their data on sites. So maybe we ought to be doing that too. Anyway, if you're considering new defense in depth controls, there's some things you need to ask yourself. Why are we doing this? Is it because of the, Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die? You got some vendetta, or you got your ass kicked one time because they did this one thing, and so, by God, I'm going to do this everywhere I go now, right? Is it that, or, is there some other legitimate control you're trying to, in your risk management, as Ian said, you're trying to fill a gap, right? Ask us what it doesn't get you. If you're trying to keep the NSA out of your network, well, does this control let the FBI, the CIA in as well? Because they're probably going to just get the information from them, right? Ask what that control doesn't get you. Two-factor authentication is nice, but guess what? There are some things that you can do to even get around some of that stuff. So ask yourself what it doesn't get you. Don't have in your mind that this product or this control is going to get me 100% guarantee. That's pretty prevalent. I talk to a lot of people that think that X product, especially the managers, especially the directors, the CISOs, they're like, yeah, we got to do this because if we don't, then we're going to get owned. And then in your mind, you're going, nah, if you don't do some other things, then you're going to get owned too. So this is not going to help you not get owned, right? Make sure your focus is right. And then again, defense in depth, it's to alert you to things that are going. You know, I really envy the afternoon speakers, right? Because what time is it? It's like 10:30. If I come up here and am drinking a rum and coke, you guys are going to judge me. I know you won't judge me because we're cool, right? But it's really, you know, you'll probably judge me. They're like, I think that guy's an alcoholic maybe, right? Because I could probably drink 2 of them right now. Anyway, the afternoon guys, it's much more socially acceptable, right? It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's almost happy hour, right? Those guys can drink. I'm kind of envious of them right now. Ask yourself, how can I alert on this? I mean, if you're going to go out and spend a bunch of money on tools, you need to know when they're working. When they're defending you, you need to have some way to find that out. If you're going to do application whitelisting, have some alert built around that so that when it's going off, you know about it. You need to go check something out. Either your users are doing something you don't want them to do, or you got somebody on your network that you don't want to be on there. And then there's the human side of defense in depth. Another thing that gets ignored really a lot by companies. And it's the U side, right? I mean, how many of y'all have security awareness programs? That's because our users are dumbasses. They will click on the link. There is no Arabian princess, right? They still will click on the link. I have one guy, the only time I've ever seen ransomware in my life was this old guy. I'd never seen it. I've only read about it. And one day he calls me over and he's like, hey, has the FBI called you about anything? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, can you come look at my computer? And sure enough, it was pretty badass. Had a picture of him from his webcam. And it's like child pornography. You're going to jail unless you give us $500 Western Union, money order. And I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. But fucking A, what are you doing? You're supposed to be working, right? So I kind of got upset and excited at the same time because I finally got to see one in real life. That was years ago. The bad thing is before we figured out how to fix that, the guy had it done twice to him, right? So I wish they would have, wish we could have encouraged him to move on to another company. Anyway, we do that stuff for the users, right? We do awareness training for the users, but how many of you guys get sent to conferences or trainings regularly? Or is this your only one for the year? And you came because it was free on your own time on a Saturday? Yeah, right? So there's a human side to defense in depth. And that's training you guys, right? There's lots of expensive ways you can go to a SANS class. They're pretty awesome. You will learn a lot of stuff. If anything, you'll network with some people and maybe get a better job. And they'll send you to better conferences. You can go to Black Hat. You can go to RSA. And, you can go to Black Hat or you can go to Black Hat, right? And you can learn a lot of stuff that will really scare the shit out of you and make you kind of, want to be a chicken farmer or something. But there's also not so bad options, right? You can go Pluralsight. It's fairly inexpensive, even for just yourself to pay for, and you might be able to get your company to do it. Books. If the only thing between my staff learning something new that will help us is a $100 book, by God, I'm going to buy them the damn book, right? And I'm going to let them keep it. I'm not going to do the thing that, when I worked at the bank, they were like, we'll buy you the book. But it's company book. So when you leave, you have to give it back. And I'm like, really? It was $50. I let them have the book. It's just a book. Online courses, B-sides, woo! These kinds of things are important. Encourage staff. Go to them yourself. If your company can't pay for it, try and find a way. I have a friend, works for HP, and he went to his boss and said, hey, I really want to go to this SANS class. If I pay for half of it, will you guys pay for the other half? And they were like, no, but we'll pay for 25% of it if you'll pay for it. So guess what? He did. He took him up on it. He saved up, went to SANS class. That kind of stuff. The other thing is, though, get rid of this I think mentality. I don't know how many times we will have an incident that we're working, and my staff will come to me and say, okay, so we're going to close this incident. Here's the report, and I'm like, well, what happened? Tell me the rundown, right? We're having a little debrief, and they're like, how am I doing on time? I'm running out of time. And they say, well, we think that Skype, fucked up some stuff and that's what happened. And I'm like, you think that's what happened? I don't know how many times that they'll bring it. And my staff, I send them to training. I buy them books. We go through red teams every quarter at the very minimum. They're not dummies, but they still will get trapped in this. I think this is what happened. Makes logical sense, and it means shit to me. Because at the end of the day, this is not what you think it is. They're gambling with my security, right? They're really saying, I think that's what it is. Whew, I made it that time. What if they're wrong? What happens then? What if I hadn't gotten up and gotten that guy's laptop? What happened then? It was only 800 megs at the time, or 800 gigs or whatever the hell it was. What happens then, right? You got to get out of that. The other thing is, I'll tell them, hey, whether it's frequently it happens on some kind of alert. I'll be like, hey, we need to build an alert to do this, and they're like, I don't think that's possible. I'm like, what do you mean it's not possible? And they're like, well, I don't think, Splunk can do that. Or I don't think Logarithm can do that or whatever. And I'll be like, I did some different vendors there so that you guys didn't single some people out. And I'll be like, listen, get them on the damn phone and ask them, is it possible? If you don't know how to do it, go find out how to do it. You haven't tried hard enough if you haven't known for sure this isn't possible. And if it's not possible, then go fucking learn C# and make it possible, right? And then sell it. Turn around and make a lot of money, right? People want this stuff. The other thing I hear from people, typically they're auditors, and it just pisses me off, is that red teams are for mature security programs. I think that is a load of shit, okay? And the reason is because we have a compliance pen test every year. I call it compliance pen test because it means nothing to me. The information I get out of it, absolutely worthless. We pay a lot of money to a big vendor I mentioned earlier, and it really does not impact my security program at all. We learn nothing about it because we have vulnerability management scanners. I can do my own patch management checkup, right? It tells me stuff about configuration problems that I might have. I don't need them to do that for me. But we have to do it for compliance, so we do it. And at the end of the day, we're no better for it. Because they focus too heavily on vulnerabilities that are exploitable, right? They're focusing too heavily on how to get domain creds because of a secure configuration issue. They're not looking at it from, hey, I phished a user and I got all your confidential information off a VPN. They don't look at it like that. They're not looking at it with that attacker mentality. Again, detecting. That's the thing that makes you good. It's imperative. Even if you're going through a compliance pen test and they're on your network and you know that means shit to your actual day-to-day, watch what the fuck they're doing. Because it might actually help you out, right? Anytime anybody's on a network of yours, contractor, presenter, watch what the hell they're doing so that you might learn something about what they are doing. Even if you don't, it's still worth it because it allows you to practice those IR tools. Oh, do you think LeBron James led the Cavaliers to a championship title by watching videos or coming to a conference or, whatever and listening to some dumbass up here from Austin talk about it? Did he listen to his coaches on how to shoot the perfect free throw and then show up at the championship game? Nope. Yeah, you guys should have said no, right? No. I like Zach Galifianakis, so usually when I'm telling a joke, I'm like super straight-faced about it, and people, get kind of weird. I love awkward humor. No, LeBron, he practiced, right? He played a lot of games, not even games. Like he went down to the park and played games with his friends, right? That kind of shit matters. That kind of stuff matters. You can't go to a SANS class, sit there all week. You can't go to Black Hat, sit there all week, and then come back to your office and whenever there's an incident, work it like you did in SANS class. Now, you got to practice that stuff. You got to keep your skills honed. So every opportunity you can, check that out. Hack some shit. Hack your own shit. If you like hacking and all that kind of stuff, do it yourself. Do it to your own self. The entire reason I got my staff a license of Metasploit is because I wanted them to be able to screw around with each other so that each other could be better about it, right? And they do some pretty awesome stuff. So, secure configuration. That's really the heart of what I'm talking about. we got patch management down at this point. A lot of people do. I keep thinking this is my wallet. A lot of people got it down. But where we're really starting, when I talk to people, loose configurations. And man, let me tell you what, they will own you in a heartbeat because the system's acting normal. And it's really hard to detect normal behavior as malicious. Very, very hard. If you are at a place where you haven't really gotten a good secure configuration, you've turned some stuff off that you heard at a Black Hat conference and you're feeling okay, you probably don't have it all the way there yet, man. You got to really invest in it. Again, they're using the systems as they're designed. Very, very difficult to find out. The example I wanted to show you is about NetBIOS LLMNR. This is not new. This is really at this point, we're talking like 15 years new. I think Microsoft even had a security bulletin in like 2000 about this. This is not new at all. And if you're victim to this, then this is a pretty good indication that you probably should drive around your town and rethink your strategy. You need to do some more work. A lot of people say, and by the way, Responder is, pretty good tool for that. There's a guy, I think his name's Kevin, who's going to be talking about Responder later this afternoon. So I'm kind of interested about it. You can get it. It's with Kali. Comes with Kali. Download it. 5 minutes. I don't know. Your internet connection's slow. Maybe you're out in the country or whatever. Take you longer. You fire it up, and boom! Within a few minutes, you can start trying to scrape creds off the line. Or you can just download it from Git if you don't like Kali because you're too cool, right? You're like more of a, Backtrack not Backtrack, Ubuntu or maybe something else, because Kali is for like weak pen testers, then go get it off Git, right? I hear people when I show them, like my friends or people at conferences, and I show them about Responder. They're like, oh yeah, but how often? I don't have Linux on my network, so how's a hacker going to do this? Well, guess what? They have it for Windows too. And I don't know if it's changed or not. Somebody should check it out. But the copy of Responder that I have for Windows totally goes under the radar of all the AVs, right? And so it does require some administrative privileges. If the machine that you're on, they already have administrative privileges, then you're golden. You can use another exploit to do that. That's not exploiting patches, right? Exploiting system configuration issues to gain that administrative privilege. PowerUp. I don't know if you guys have you all been playing with PowerSploit? Anybody playing with? Isn't that so awesome? Dude, that stuff is blows my mind. I love it. It's so cool. Because I got to change stuff on you, Nick. I'm telling you, I have been owned by this. I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, pen tester came in and he says, "Hey, is this your domain admin password?" And I'm like, "The fuck did you get that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, totally got it. LLMNR. You're logged into a server, and I poisoned it, got it, cracked it, done deal." And it was like day 2 of the week-long pen test. It's fast. If you put this on a big network with older computers, and I say older, I mean like the computer's been out there for 3 years and the print server has changed in that time frame. Within 5 minutes, you're going to be getting credentials like that, right? You're going to be getting hopefully you'll get an NTLM v2 hash, which is the best that you can hope for, and they have to spend some time cracking it. But you'll be surprised. And in fact, I think that's why you need to go to the presentation this afternoon. I won't spoil it. But sometimes you might get worse than NTLM v2. And that's really bad because NTLM v2 is already pretty bad. So, have you guys heard of a guy named Rick Redmond from CoreLogic? He's the guy that runs the password cracking thing at DEF CON. I think it's DEF CON. Anyway, he can break all 8-character NTLM passwords in 3 days. Done. It's over. Done. And that's with like a regular computer, not like a supercomputer. So getting an NTLM v2 hash, it's not, you can't really just easily pass the hash on that, so you got to crack it, right? I'm sure there's probably, you guys pen testers probably know a way to do it that I don't. But I'm not a hacker, so that's okay. But you can crack them pretty easily with pretty, easy hardware. Real quick rundown about the demo, and then we'll get started on it. The user is sitting here. Hopefully you have this turned off, but let's say you don't. They go to their home page, their intranet home page. This is actually what ours is called, home, because we wanted it to be easy for our users because, a lot of them can't type in a fully qualified domain. And for whatever reason, I have this one lady, and she will literally type in home into her browser. when we set the home page to the same thing. She could just click the stupid home icon. No. She types it in, right? I don't know why. But they'll do it. DNS server says, I don't have an entry for that. There's a whole bunch of ways that could happen. I'm not going to get into that. The easiest one is go to a coffee shop, right, and then run this. If they don't have it disabled, then you'll see this stuff on the wire. It's like a little lost puppy going, where's my domain? Where's my domain credentials or domain controller? It's funny, and you'll see lots of them on a wireless network. So then your computer says, okay, well, the DNS server doesn't know where it is, so I'm just going to ask around. Right? That's always a good plan. Have you seen Vacation when he goes to Chicago, downtown Chicago, and he's like driving around? He's like, hey, I need directions to the highway, and the guy's like, man. He gives them a whole bunch of directions. Like, man, fuck this. I'm from Detroit. I don't even know how to do that. Go see my cousin, so and so. In the meantime, they're stealing all of his stuff. That's basically what happens here. They send it out to the network, broadcast style. Attacker receives it, says, "Oh yeah, that's me. I'm home. I'm your intranet." And then your computer, because it is a trusted site on a domain, immediately just sends it the credentials. If it's a print server, it immediately sends it the credentials. No work on the attacker part. How easy is this to detect? It's almost impossible. I mean, you could probably make it possible, but you have to have a fucking army of people watching in NetBIOS traffic looking for stuff like this. It's impossible because the secure configuration is, the attacker is leveraging the system's normal designed use to compromise. So, any questions about that? How many of y'all knew about this? You've seen this? This is, okay, good. I'm glad to see that at least people have seen this before. You would be shocked to know that not everybody has seen this. And what I think is more, and the reason why I chose to do an actual demo of it, is because I want people to know it's not magic. You literally go to the internet, download the tool, watch a 5-minute YouTube video, having never done it before, boom, you're stealing creds off the line. It's that simple. It's really kind of scary. So, pop out of here, hop onto my VMs. They're still up. Let's see what we got here. Excuse me, I have this stupid long password for a virtual machine, and I didn't type it in right. So I'll tell you that my coach always says don't do live demos because they never work. And so I'm going against him anyway, and I'm going to give this a shot. If it doesn't work, I have some screenshots. They're pretty. And I also say that this is, again, I'm not trying to teach you how to hack stuff, so I'm going to speed this demo along by doing some stuff. Again, you might have to be a little patient. You might have to do some things. What happened there? Oh, shit. See, this is why you don't do live demos. Resolutions all screwed up. It's all good. We'll make it work. All right, so this was me just making sure that I could actually connect to the other VM. So, responder. Again, go watch a 5-minute YouTube video. You'll be able to do this in a few minutes. So I'm just going to type in the deal. If I can type responder. I grew up in the Texas Panhandle. We don't have really good education up there. I'm just kidding. For anybody that grew up in the Panhandle, education's awesome. Type in a couple of things, switches to do. You can go and read about them. I'm not going to get into it. And boom, we're launching the attack. That's it. That's all the person has to do. Seriously. Now you just wait. I'm not going to wait because I'm impatient. If you go talk to me later, you'll see that I am impatient. I'm going to hop back over to my Windows box, and I am going to mistype, because this is a demo. I'm trying to speed it up here. I'm going to do Pint Server. Something's fucked up because I typed it in wrong, right? But guess what? We had a DNS failed match. So what's the operating system do after that? Broadcast it out. We hop back over to our Kali, and voila. I get a whole bunch of shit. One of them including the name of the computer, the username, the domain name, and then, my Intel MV2 hash. I copy paste that into John the Ripper, start running it, and if this is a really shitty password, boom, cracked, minutes. Did you see how long that attack took? Secure configuration matters because that is how long most of these attacks happen. Powersploit, some of that shit that Powersploit has, it's just like this. It's fucking amazing. And if you haven't spent the time to do the secure configuration, few seconds, 5-minute video on YouTube, and some dumb-ass 12-year-old in Amarillo, Texas, the Panhandle, who doesn't really know how to read and write well, can be on your network stealing your credentials. Does that make sense to people? Did that kind of hit home? I have a friend who works at a Fortune 25 company. And he's a good friend. I can't put into words the frustration I get when I talk to him. Because he will say things like, oh, well, I can't disable NetBIOS on my network because I've got this. So it's a Fortune 25 company. They got tens of thousands of computers, all susceptible to this. And they can't do it because they have one system that needs it to run. That's a problem. That's a mentality problem. It's a mentality problem. By the way, he also refers to parts of their network as the dark web. And when he told me that, I was like, what do you mean you have the dark web on your fucking network? Like, I can go buy drugs on your network? What the hell do you mean by that? And he's like, no, we have parts of our network with devices that we don't know where they are and what they're doing. I'm like, and this is a Fortune 25 company, right? I mean, they're not spending a couple of $100s a month on security, right? And so I was telling that to somebody at ISC Squared Security Congress, because again, I have a CISP, and I got to protect that sucker, right? I was telling that to somebody, and they're like, oh, we have that same problem, and we call it the dark web too. And they were like proud of it. And I'm like, where do you work? And they told me, and I went and looked them up. They're a Fortune 50 company. So I don't know how prevalent this stuff is, but I am astounded to find people that are still vulnerable to that kind of easy super attack. Sorry, when I got out of there, it screwed up where I was. And so I'm willing to bet some of you probably have this. You need to go back and do some looking around. It's really easy. Guys, I'm going to have to go real fast, so I apologize because I'm running out of time. I talk too much. I told somebody that I talk too much. ARP spoofing, another thing. NetBIOS, most of you can probably turn it on. If you don't have anything less than Windows XP, you can probably turn it off tomorrow and nobody even noticed anything happened, right? You don't need it. ARP spoofing, it's another thing. ARP spoofing is even cooler because you can do even better stuff than the LLM poisoning. You can like take people's SSL credentials out of the encrypted traffic. ARP spoofing is really awesome. Again, in most cases, I mean, if you got a really large network, it's probably going to take some planning to implement, but you can do it in a very short amount of time without any real noticeable difference. The good thing about ARP spoofing, though, is that it's really noisy. So if you got people looking at switches, if you got your SIM looking at switches, you're going to see ARP spoofing pretty quickly. So on our side, the good guy side, I don't know, maybe you're on a bad side. ARP spoofing is pretty easy to defend against. But again, it's something that you download a one-line command off of Git and run it, and boom, you're stripping SSL, traffic, getting creds out of it. It's really kind of crazy, and people still have that stuff, perfect. Real quick note, a caution. Again, this is tales from my life. Maybe you guys have gotten luckier than me. I do have 3 kids, so. But anyway, that was a Zach Galifianakis kind of thing. It's supposed to be funny. Anyway. All right, so if you're luckier than me, maybe you never ran into some of these things, but just be aware if you're doing ARP spoofing, MAC addresses do change on VM environments or Hyper-V environments when stuff HAs or vMotion, so kind of keep that aware. MAC addresses, you can static them. Most systems admins are like, oh, we'll just static it. Yeah, well, the switch doesn't like it when it changes ports either, so just kind of, keep that in mind. Clustering, let's say you're not in a virtual environment. If you have a cluster, same kind of issues might happen. Just kind of keep that aware. The other problem you're going to get into is you're going to tell a systems admin that you don't want their box to have a static IP address. You want it to have a DHCP reservation for the DHCP snooping portion of this. And they're going to be like, no way, bro. You ain't getting my static. No, because what happens? That's really just an education issue. Microsoft has gotten a lot better about how that handles with DNS when the machine comes up. So again, just be aware of all that kind of stuff. Don't say I didn't warn you. So back to secure configuration. Again, I'm going quick because I only have 5 more minutes. Vulnerability management solutions, they're good. They're going to help you identify some of these things. That PowerSploit power-up thing, it's an unquoted search path. I had no clue what the hell that was till I got a vulnerability management solution. I started digging into that, and then I realized, oh shit, this is something I need to pay attention to. Again, I'm not a hacker. I'm still learning like you guys. Application control. This is pretty... we run this, and let me tell you what, changed my life. It's awesome. Not only is it great at helping me indicate things that I need to be paying attention to, but it also helps people from fucking up your machines because they can't do stuff that they want to do on it. It also will help you realize that a lot of vendors are really shitty about how they do stuff, but it's not as bad as you think it is. I heard for years that one of the reasons you didn't want to do application whitelisting was because it's a management nightmare. It can be, depending on how you do it, but if you're smart about it, you'll love it by the end of the day. My sysadmins now, they love it. Disable NetBIOS. If you haven't done it already, I'm going to say it explicitly. Do it. You need to do it now. Tomorrow. Go just disable it. It's a group policy object. You can do it 1, 2, 3 clicks and be done. And most people will never notice the difference. Do test it, though, if you have, Again, I'm not responsible for your network. You guys are, right? Don't call me up. My CEO, kicks my ass all the time.
We're going to need a card from you.
Yeah, do it. You should, because I won't respond. You remember, I told you I would quit in a heartbeat. Limit privilege accounts. You've heard this said. People don't do it, though. We have several different layers of privileged credentials. We have domain admins, and guess what? They're only allowed to do domain work. I don't want them installing a damn printer with a domain admin credential, right? That's not what it's for. Start thinking through those things. Application control gotchas. There's a Reg 32. It, kind of made some waves earlier in the year. It's pretty badass, actually. So be aware of that. You need to pay attention. You don't have to have admin access to do this. And you'll be surprised that how easy, I'm telling you. And the cool thing is, you can put a DLL file out on a web server somewhere and use RegServe to access it. And you can do it over TLS, so it's encrypted, and your network admins have a harder time figuring out what the hell was going on there. It's really awesome. And it totally bypasses a lot of application control. Because it's a signed Microsoft executable. It's good, right? Right? No, it's not good. Restrict PowerShell usage. If maybe not necessarily restrict it like they can't run PowerShell. PowerShell is a great tool. I love it. My sysadmins really love it. I got a guy who's a PowerShell genius. But why not only run signed PowerShells? You still might fuck some stuff up. My SharePoint admin was trying to install a SharePoint server for like 6 days before he figured out that the reason... I know, I'm working. Sorry. I got lots of stories. You guys come talk to me about it. All this stuff is stuff that I learned, and I got a story behind it. Alert on PowerShell usage on your end-user machines. That's an easy one, right? Because they shouldn't be running PowerShell. Your users should not be running PowerShell, right? You guys know that? Okay, just want to make sure. There's a couple of free hardening guides. I told you that LLMNR in NetBIOS, if you just do that, you're still going to be fucked one day. So go find some. I put a couple on there that you can Google. NIST has some stuff. I haven't confirmed it from anybody, but I've heard it from multiple sources and read about it. The Department of Homeland Security apparently will come and do a free pen test for you. I don't know. Call them up. See what happens. Maybe if you don't have any money, you can do it. Or maybe you hate the government and you don't want them on your stuff. I don't know. It's your call. I don't care. Preventing lateral movement. There's no reason why your users' computers need to talk to each other, right? In fact, that's a really easy way to get alerted to something weird going on. Most of the time when someone gets on your box, whether it's a pen tester or an actual malicious user, they're going to try and enumerate some things that they want that are more interesting. Yeah, well, that's an easy way to indicate that something weird's going on. If one of my users' machines trying to initiate conversation to another user machine or to a database server, that's not normal. I need to check that out. I'm sorry I'm going so fast. Service accounts. There's no reason why a service account needs to log on to any other box than the box that it's needed for. Do that stuff. Alert on that stuff too, because if it has a failed login, boom. I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying. A couple other things. Honey users. If you got password spraying, just put a honey user out there. As soon as that sucker gets hit, you know somebody's trying to fuck some stuff up. Yeah, I'll just stop there. Citations. Sorry. I really love what I do, guys. I really like talking about it. I really like learning about it. So if you guys have some tips that I could use, come talk to me, man. I'm really kind of down to earth about it. We'll watch some car crash videos and be done.